Gonna change the world.
There we go.
Yeah.
Big episode. We got a big episode coming up here.
Gonna make a real difference. Feed the poor and heal the
All
sick.
Welcome
right.
back to the Puck Daddy podcast.
Welcome
Let's
back, baby.
go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest. Former Toronto Maple Leaf,
Ooh.
former New York Islander, current rap star,
Ooh.
Josh Hosang. Now, are we using your middle name here as well? Because I do
No. We could just stick with Josh.
Navarro.
Josh on the podcast.
Yeah, let's give him an
Josh,
applause.
Josh,
Let's give him an
Josh,
applause.
Bringing him on hot.
Yeah.
I love it.
Love it.
So you just took the world by storm. Obviously, there's been a lot of news coverage about you growing up and making an NHL. You're as a prospect and playing, and then all of a sudden you drop a rap album. Let us know, how did you cut? Like, where did that come from? What inspired you to do that?
So I always loved music. I was fortunate enough in Niagara. My teammates heard me freestyle,
Mhm.
and they just encouraged me to keep going.
Love that.
Through the conversations that we had, they were like, "You got something, Sager." Like, and they'd toss on beats, and they'd
Yes.
ask me to just blow.
I
And,
love that, bro.
Yeah, so we had a couple freestyle sessions, and then when things started getting hard with hockey, I needed an outlet,
Right.
and my therapist recommended that I start writing music. And so I did, for like myself, to be able to see where I was at mentally.
Mhm.
Sometimes when you're put your feelings on paper and express them through conversation, you're able to see like what's going on.
Right.
And I think that through that, started making some of my own pregame music. I found that was kind of fun. And when I was developing the app, I knew that a lot of people would be confused. And I knew that it's important that we had some traction.
Mhm.
So it was cheaper for me to write a rap album than spend money on advertisements.
Right.
That's insane. I love that. That's what you had all this music inside of you, right? You had these lyrics, you had these messages, and you're like, oh, well, you didn't want to release. Maybe scared to release it, or no reason to release
Yeah,
it.
I think it's kind of when you write music, good music too,
Mhm.
it's for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I think that when you really tap into your feelings, it can be a little weird sharing it to a community
Mhm.
that's like tough, right? As tough as hockey. And
Yeah.
I think that I was definitely guarded through conversations that I had through my hockey career. It wasn't necessarily status quo to have emotions when I was 18.
Right.
Fair.
I think you guys saw a lot of the articles that were written about me being too emotional, right?
Yeah.
And then now that's kind of normal.
Mhm.
And so it's been really cool to see hockey develop, and I just hope that my music can help push that forward.
I love that. Well, it's nice that you developed the app to give you a reason to release that music, because I'd say you could just keep on going, dropping tracks, and you can find yourself a niche for sure. My biggest takeaway from listening to all your songs is how deep it was. It wasn't just like, oh, someone trying to rap, and I think that's what people might have expected. Oh, he's a hockey player and he's trying to rap. No, it was, each song had a message and it was deep, and I just love that about the music. So
I was listening to
Thank
it at
you
the
so
gym
much.
this morning.
no problem.
I was diving into the album this morning, and it was like just tuned into my workout. It was perfect.
Yeah, bro. I was really tapping in, and for me, I'm like, I love listening to the lyrics, and I was listening to like, because it really gives you an insight of like who you are and the stuff that you've gone through. But I know from when I was listening, like a lot of the stuff you went through, I've been through the same emotional ups and downs. Like you have a couple songs talking about ups and downs of life, and it also seems like you went through uh, like an awakening or a version of an awakening. You can kind of touch on that, but I know you had like a talk with a Buddha was one of the name of your songs, and like Escape I was
Yeah.
listening to, and it seems like I don't know if you went on like a spiritual journey or I don't know if you want to touch on that at all.
Absolutely. I'm a big advocate for therapy. I think that I wish it was more accessible. I wish everyone could do it. There was a status in our society because I think everyone benefits from it. Um, my talk with Buddha is actually about me talking to my therapist.
Right.
Um, m- that conversation where I'm offered this perspective was her, and she pushed me to figure out why I felt the way I felt, not necessarily fixating on the emotion, but trying to understand like the cause. How do we end up here? And I think that when you start evaluating things, you can tap into like who you are, things that you can control to make your life better. And I think that through the music, like Chip said, like the awakening that I had, for me, it was a combination of breaking my hand and kind of having to find this identity.
Hmm.
Because when I broke it, I realized that I may never get to play again. And it made me so much more grateful for what I had, but also put me in a state of how can I help others who are in my situation, who feeling immense amounts of pain, anxiety, question, and that's where some of the songs you hear that. And I think through that process, I was able to heal on some of the stuff that was really weighing on me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because I found that music for me is an outlet. I've been writing a lot of songs, and I actually started writing journaling. I started journaling was my big therapeutic device, was just getting my
Mm-hmm.
like words or thoughts onto paper and trying to understand what those thoughts actually are. So like I would wake up and I would just start journaling about what I did in the morning, like trying to get more in tune with my thoughts, like almost like try to become more conscious of what I was doing on a daily basis, to start maybe understanding myself more, especially when I was in a low, in a rut, and you're trying to like figure out, okay, like how do I get out of here? Like who am I? You start asking these questions, and it's a very deep journey that you go on when you're doing that, and you're trying to discover your true self, or who is the self, what are we all doing here. um, and I know I started listening to a lot of like different philosophies, philosophers. Alan Watts was a big one I started listening to. I don't know if you've ever heard. Have you heard of Alan Watts before?
No, I haven't. I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, it was 100. It was someone that for me that just allowed. He pretty much takes um Eastern philosophy and brings it to like more consumable for the West. So like
Mm-hmm.
Buddhism, Taoism, and I know you talk about
Mm,
the present moment a lot in your songs, like finding that moment. And for me, that's where the creativity. That's where it gives me an outlet of freedom, and that's why for me, like every day, I try to create something just to give myself a sense of freedom in the day and finding that present moment. And I know you mentioned that in some of your songs as well as like that present moment. I think you say I I don't fear death anymore because it's
yeah,
far away from the present. I think that was one of the lines.
yeah,
Like,
That's
do you
sweet.
want to
Yeah.
like yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. Like finding that moment. Like, is that where your creativity stems from? Is just the freedom?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that part of depression is having your focus being pulled in multiple directions. I think that when you have talented people, or you have someone who's going through something and you're not quite able to understand where they're coming from, I think a good place to start is trying to identify how their distractions are affecting them
Right.
and just affecting yourself. I find that with socials today, between like Twitter, Instagram, a lot of that stuff is like what's happening outside of you.
Mm.
A
Mm.
lot of that stuff is geared to what you don't have. And I think that I'm in the East Coast right now, and I'm more humble than I've ever been in my hockey career.
Right.
I appreciate the ice. I appreciate the staff in a different way. the water, the Gatorades, like those little things that are around me that were like, this got to be here. I'm a pro.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That mentality, that gratitude that you approach things with, I think losing your sense of entitlement is very powerful
Mm.
as an individual, because once you let go of the ego in a lot of situations, you're able to identify how can I be better.
Mm,
I love that.
And
right.
that's impressive
I
because when you build off that, what can I do better? This is not about him. This is not about her. This is about how I can prepare myself best, how I can set myself up to operate from kindness and work hard.
Mm,
I want to kind of dive a little deeper into that because I think that sense of entitlement can kind of come when you're, say, a AAA hockey player, and you're the cool kid because you're good at sports, and everyone at school wants to hang out with you, and you're chucked around, and you're highly touted, and you kind of have like a trail of followers and fans, and maybe you get that sense of entitlement. So maybe speak to, you were in a situation like that where you were a highly touted prospect and you played the AAA hockey, and it seems like, did you always have this way of being grateful for everything, or did that come later? And what would you say to like a younger player, AAA, feeling that they're the best because they are a good hockey player?
That's an incredible question.
Yeah, it was well worded, Jay. That was.
Um,
Trying to get it all out there.
yeah, no, it's good. For me, I would say I probably started to develop an ego around 15. Your ego is important because it allows you to believe that you can do things that other people can't.
Hmm.
mm,
The entitlement that you discussed is also a part of your ego that you have to control.
Hmm.
Because just because I put in 1,000 hours of work doesn't mean that I deserve the job.
right.
It means I put in 1,000 hours of work, and I should be proud of that. That is removing entitlement, but
Hmm.
encouraging your ego. And there's lots of
Hmm.
examples where you could do that. But for me, I would say around 16, I developed an ego to protect myself. And I think some kids do that too. You are constantly getting told by coaches and scouts that everything you lack.
Yeah.
Mm,
Mm.
So then you're like pushed the other way
right.
and you're like, I got this and I got this and I'm this. And you can get a little lost in that. And I felt like that affected me even further when I made the mistake and showed up late in New York, trying to push back at like what all these people are saying. I tried to use my ego to protect myself,
Mm,
and instead I should have used it to navigate
right.
and use it to motivate myself to work through those things. But again, like I'm not gonna harp on a 20-year-old figuring out life.
Yep.
Hmm.
And for me, I'm a much better person, and I think that you guys have all been through experiences. Sometimes not getting what you dreamed of leads you to the path of like greatness and being able to help people. I wouldn't trade the learning that I had to do, but I think it's important to understand that like the staff that's been there for 5 years before you got there, like they've put in work, they've seen characters, they've earned every single opportunity. Like you're with the best of the best of the best.
Hmm.
And I think understanding that and uplifting the people around you instead of being complacent of like what we don't have makes the environment so much more conducive for everyone.
Mm.
Right. Yeah, I love that. It's I guess the takeaway from that would be there's a difference between having an ego and taking pride in yourself, like for the good
Yeah,
things, right? Like you can use the pride you have for yourself to excel and be good, without letting your ego get in the way of like boosting others up around you,
Yeah.
kind of thing. That's what I
Exactly,
take away from it, at least.
Part of sorry, I was
Oh yeah, yeah.
hopping real quick. Part of like the Buddhist teaching is to remove the ego and just have no ego at all. Like you view yourself basically from the outside, like you're just a vessel. You're just a swinging door. You know, it swings out when you breathe out, and it swings in when you breathe in. To completely, which is a wild way of thinking, and I don't know if it's possible. I don't know. Could you play pro sports without an ego at all? Like,
Right.
No,
No.
I
Yeah.
think that believing in yourself is one of the greatest gifts you can give to you.
Yeah.
Like, it's not impossible until you decide it is.
Right.
I love Anthony Edwards' new commercial for his shoe. He said, "My brothers wouldn't let me say can't."
Huh.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah.
And like, I think that that's so cool. Like, imagine growing up in a household where your brothers are like, "Nah, you can
Yeah.
do it."
Right.
Great.
Having that feeling, creating a group of people around you who can also like encourage that, enforce that, and check you
Yeah.
when you're being ridiculous. I think if I was a 16-year-old hockey player who was super popular, I would really focus on the people who are around me.
I love that.
That's great advice.
Bring others up. And I'm just gonna throw one more thing in there about you saying like my brothers don't let me say can't. And I'm a coach. I'm always reading books about different ways to like help players. And that's one thing that I took away from a book years back. The growth mindset versus and like helping players with self belief. And I would hear all kinds of players say, "I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this." I'm just teaching them simple hockey stuff, and they say, "I can't." And whenever I hear it, I say, "You can't do that yet." Right? To
Yeah.
put that you can't do it yet. I add the yet to it, and then that kind of puts it in there. Like you can.
You will be able to.
You
with
have
enough
to keep
effort,
trying, and you can.
and
Yeah, I just want to add. I think words are so powerful, and what you say to yourself can be so like I feel like it can be detrimental or it can be for the better. Like for me, I know growing up, I started just being negative to myself and almost
manifesting.
being mean to myself. And
Mhm.
I went through something in around 2020 where I just was like, holy, like I'm so hard on myself, and like something clicked, and I was like, I got to be my own best friend. I got to be supportive of myself, and that's what's going to allow me to then show up for others and be kind to others. But I got to be kind to myself first. I got to make sure that I'm respecting myself, so that, and in doing so, I'll start respecting other people as well. And then and then you start like, what is the self and what are others, and how do you define yourself without other people? So it becomes like, I like looking at the world kind of like we're one, and like I am you, you are me. And once I started looking at in that sense, I found I was having better conversations. I would want to make other people feel understood. And like with your music, is that a goal with your music, is to help other people maybe free their minds through yours and through what you had to learn? And I guess are you trying to get a message of like freedom of the mind? Like that's what the sense I got from the music was, your sense of emotion,
Yeah.
ups and downs. And for me, with the music I'm making now, it's like that's kind of my goal, is to like let people tap into the kind of the stuff I went through, and these are the things that I'm currently doing to try to find freedom in the moment, try to find these when you're in the midst of chaos. What I do, for me, it's trying to get creative, and I talk about that a lot with the music I've been making. So yeah, do you find that with your music?
Yeah, I think building on like what you said, self-talk is huge. I don't let people around me call themselves stupid.
Yeah.
I don't let people around me say, "Oh, I'm an idiot." Uh, that language is unnecessary.
So do you say like don't
And
say
I
that, or like
think,
if someone says like, oh, don't say that, like
yeah,
exactly, you catch them?
I
Yeah.
cut them off right away.
Yeah.
Love
I'm
that.
like, don't talk about yourself that way.
That's a puck daddy move right
Uh,
there.
That is a puck daddy move. Like
Yeah,
who said that?
because
Right? Like
yeah, yeah,
according to who?
I
According to
think,
who?
yeah, I think that you have to be, like Chip said, one of your biggest fans.
Yeah,
It's
I love
important that you're encouraging yourself through little tasks. Like you get up at 6, you do your morning routine, you make breakfast, you're locked in by 7, like celebrate that.
Mm-hmm.
That's an accomplishment. There's lots of people who are sleeping. And then even more so, how have you set yourself up? Like, let's get outside the comparison. Like, you're locked in. It's seven
Mm-hmm.
o'clock. You're locked. And I think that self-talk and encouraging yourself through little victories is huge. Like through my rehab, like everything is little victories.
Right.
You go from a limp fucking hand
Yeah.
and to being able to do all these things, and like that's a process. And I think building your self-worth and the value that you see is the same. Like it's little, you're chipping away at what's been thrown at you by society, maybe some of the tough bounces that you've had, and working from there. And with my music, I try to share my story, let people know that I went through a lot of garbage, but I'm out on the other side.
Right.
And I also try to take accountability. Like for me, things didn't go perfect as a first round draft pick from management and stuff like that. I would have wanted some things to go better, but that's so past the point because for me, there's so much I could have done.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even worry about that stuff.
Right.
And being able to build my confidence and build myself up from the standpoint of what can I do to help the people that I care about. Focus on the people who are cheering for you,
Right.
right? And I think that that's what my music's for. That's what my app's for. And anyone who cares to follow my hockey career, I play for showing people you just believe in yourself and good things can happen.
Love that
I
message.
think there's no greater message than what you've been saying throughout the entire podcast, and it's support and show gratitude towards the people who surround you. And I think you could never go wrong, no matter what situation you're in. You will have friends who will want to lift you up and not try to tear you down. Because if you're there and you're showing gratitude towards them and you're grateful for them being around you, and you're kind to them, then any chance they get, they're going to want to lift you up and help you out, right? Versus if you're all about yourself and like, I don't need you, I don't need you, I don't need. If they have a chance to help you, like, oh, that guy doesn't need me, whatever, right? So if no
Hmm.
matter where you are, where you work, what level you reach, and whatever you're trying to achieve, if you're always just supportive and grateful towards the people around you, you'll just always have a good circle of friends and people who care about you. So sounds like a great way to live.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hayden's been trying to ask something.
Yeah,
Here. He's got his phone
I
out.
just because talking about your journey and your rehab and kind of the Chippy was calling it an awakening and all this stuff. I was looking for like some insight into like your kind of your journey, right? And I came across this video. I didn't watch it, but I saw the thumbnail, and that was enough for me to um, save this photo. And it's an acronym for learning. Um,
Mm.
and it's lose, evaluate, accept, refocus, navigate, innovate, nurture, and grow. And it's got this little tree drawing and your name on it. I thought I'd ask you like because for me that resonated. Like learning is all of those things, right? Like you learn from your losses, you learn from like is so I just wanted to see like did you like come up with that or was it just something meaningful to you or like because I really it resonated with me and I'd like to see what you how you came up with that.
Yeah, that's from my song Learning.
Great
Right.
song.
I think,
Yeah.
Good song.
thank you.
And that's not on your album though, is it?
Uh,
That was like
no, that was the first song I ever dropped.
2020 or something. That
Uh,
one came out.
yeah, and that was actually because my therapist, she's like, just do it, just do it.
Yeah.
Give it a
I
try.
loved
I was like,
that one.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me
Oh,
of the
thank you.
quote the quote I got on the wall, the man in the arena,
Mm,
where it's like
Yeah.
essentially you're just always going to try your hardest because you're the one doing it. Don't listen to the critics. They're the ones up in the crowd. They're going to say whatever they want, but you're the one who's doing your best, who's trying, who's failing, and no matter what, at the end, you'll never be with the cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat.
Right.
Right?
Because they didn't try.
They
or
didn't put in the work. They didn't put in the tear, the blood, the debt,
Right.
all that stuff. You're the one who put in the effort, and you can stand strong and be proud of the life you lived, whether you experience success, like victory or defeat. Right?
I just thought it was interesting because I knew that it was a song. I didn't listen to it. All I saw was the acronym, and I was like, that's something that someone was a pivotal point in their life.
All right. Well, give us some more details on it. Sorry, I hopped in there.
No, for sure. For me, like you said, it kind of clicked for me that I stopped trying to learn at like 19. I just like decided my game was this particular way and that I had to fit it into this mold. I stopped trying to learn new cuts. I stopped trying to learn new stick handling moves. I became very fixated on like how can I fit in. And I think that that leaked into my actual life. And so I just wasn't reading as much, wasn't like taking in new information. I think it's important to like try to learn something new every week. But for me, I realized that I became a little stagnant, and then that's where like the complacency comes from, right? I think that learning humbles you regularly.
Right.
And that's why it's so important to acquire new skills. Like, I love when coaches put forwards on D because we yell at the D all year. And then
Mitch
we
Marner.
get back there and we're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's not so
Yeah.
easy.
That's great. Yeah.
Right?
It's hard to keep him to
And
the
so,
outside.
like, I think having perspective given to you by growth is so cool. And I think it's tough. We're trying to become the best of the best. And you're told if you don't play hockey every single day that you're never going to make it. I I beg to differ. There's guys in the NHL right now who didn't really start playing hockey until they're 13.
Right.
So I think that offering that space for people to grow in and out of the game is important. And I think that some of the hockey parents and some of the fixation these days, even by the organizations, I mean, I thought it was really cool. Fresh off a Stanley Cup, Barry Trotz gave me a book about Navy SEALs.
Oh, nice.
And although things didn't work out in New York, that was so cool.
Right.
Fresh out of training camp, this guy just won a Stanley Cup, sits down, talks to me, doesn't have to, and presents me this book and says, I want you to read it, give me some of your thoughts, and go from there. And at the time, I was a little combative. I'm like, I'm a hockey player, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna read a book. I'm gonna read this book.
But yeah,
Coach, I'm good.
I'm gonna write a book. Hey, I write a book on how to dangle.
Yeah. And then you take a step back and you're like, okay, like this is an NHL champion, and he's telling me to like take a look at this, all right? Like, and then you start seeing stories, the similarities, and to me, it was so empowering because that was a relationship that I could have outside of hockey. Like I had this thing where I was working on my game without working on my game.
Right.
Right.
And it was really cool. And then from there, that helped me explore other aspects where like, okay, how else can I play around with this? And I think you've seen some of the top players. McKinnon, I think, is quite a reader. And I think it goes to show like when you humble yourself outside of your sport, it's a lot easier to approach situations with gratitude and having that fresh, like, I can acquire the skill mentality.
Yeah, I think that that's going to become more and more a thing in like, especially the young players coming in the NHL. Like, they're constantly evolving their game and like trying to come up with new things and stuff. And it's almost a little bit more being encouraged, it seems like, based on Like, and I can imagine that players will be encouraged to be creative more and more as like coaching becomes more of like a less old school thought.
Once Torts retires.
Yeah, once Tortorella retires and gets off the mic, and then yeah.
No, I heard he's actually a good guy.
No, I've heard that
I've
too.
heard
Yeah.
he's a good guy.
I know a few guys who play for them and they swear by him.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I just had a
So
conversation with.
I got nothing to say in that department, but I do think it's important that you have players like me who, do music and apps. You have players like Zegras, who looks like he's fresh off the beach. You have players like Austin Matthews, who's pushing the social avenue, his public relationships. Like, I think that even though people don't identify that as growth, like he's expanding his network, he's focusing on his game, but also how can he improve everything?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the more we encourage that with athletes in general, you'll get some better performances, better players. Yeah, some guys will be distracted, but then you'll be able to see who the real pros are.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's like building a foundation on your not just your mental health, but like all the supporting factors that make you able to go on the ice and perform. Is like a solid foundation, right? You need everything to be a good.
If you're strong mentally, you're going to perform a lot better. That's
Exactly.
for sure.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot fewer
The
distractions.
hockey anecdote.
Well, and I think
Look
Yeah.
good, feel good, play good.
Exactly.
I also think like mental toughness. I know a lot of coaches used to say that to me growing up. Like I played AAA growing up. Like I don't think it's mental toughness. I think it's more mental freedom and like being able to, have like the patience. I look at someone like Sidney Crosby. It just looks like he's so patient out there. He's so clear-minded.
Mm.
I feel like that's really what separates a lot of the best players. Their ability to flow.
They're not thinking about the mistakes
They're
they're
not
going to make.
attaching
Yeah.
themselves to outcomes. I need to score tonight. I know that's a big one. You get attached to these like external factors that won't help you progress. Whereas if you can just find that moment, find that flow state in the game, be mentally clear, it allows you to perform much better in a much more clear way. You can read the play better because you're not focused on these other external things. And I know for me, like I play men's league, but like the best games I play are the ones where I'm just the free in the mind. I'm flowing. I'm patient. I'm not overthinking the pass. Like the pass just presents itself, and seeing the play present itself, and the life presents itself with things all the time. And if you're aware and you're open to seeing it, you almost become like a magnet.
Yeah.
And I found with creation and just I don't know, I like looking for signs every day. I like I'll see like numbers. I'm a big numbers guy. Like I'll see 444 and I'll be like just like when you're open to like seeing those messages and they kind of present themselves and it's being able to like see those messages and learn from them and like okay, what's that trying to tell me? And like going through life. I'm reading a book right now called The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. It's an amazing book and it talks a lot about the just like creativity and like it's a way of being and it's a way of like looking at life and it's like not putting the world down but there's putting the world up and like there's so many things happening and it's such a beautiful place. And for me, once I started looking life like that, like there's an opportunity for creation every time. There's so much inspiration all around you.
Yeah, creating is the greatest form of like expressing yourself, and like some people create in a physical manner, some people create in like expressing their emotions on paper or like painting or whatever.
Conversation. Like the creation is all the time happening all the time. And it's like that for me. It was like, wow, if I could just create something today, whether it's a conversation, a song, a skit on TikTok, if I could make someone laugh today, it's been a good day. And that was a big turnaround for me. It was like, okay, why am I creating these videos online? Like, am I doing it to gain followers and to get acceptance from people? No, like for me, it was I had to ask myself a deeper question. Why am I doing this? And for me, I realized how much I lacked laughter in my life for a long time. And I was like, for me, like laughter is the best emotion. And when I'm with my friends and I'm laughing, for me, that's what makes a great experience in life is laughter. So my thing I wrote down in my journal was like, if I could just make one person laugh today, it's been a good day. And that was my kind of key, and that's what inspired me or kept me going with the creativity and to show up every day. And I feel like having those inspirations that, or those little things back in the back of your mind that bring you back to the real reason why you're doing things, for me was super important and allowed me to kind of keep creating and keep going and keep pushing forward when people might say, "Oh, why is he doing that? He looks like a goof. What's he doing making TikToks?"
Not being afraid.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like just
Create without fear.
having the internal like belief or internal motivation. I think is really important. There is external things like money and followers and whatever this is, but that's not the real. That's not like I listen to a lot of Russ. I don't know if you listen.
What is the motivation
Yeah, what
behind
like
it,
what
right?
is
Yeah.
it like? Yeah, what is it that's actually motivating you? Because once you get those things, you realize those weren't even. I wasn't really what I was looking for.
Let's talk about some motivation with Josh. What motivated you to create the app? And let's hear about the app. It's Pup, right? Pickup
Yeah, it's called Pub Sports,
Pup Sports.
Pickup Pro Sports.
Pickup Pro Sports.
Um, the easiest way to explain it is it's a pickup game app that you can like pop open. It'll tell you all the games that are going on near you. So like if you guys were running a skate, you just type it in, and then anyone can join
Hmm.
who's in the radius. After you guys play, you can rate each other. You'll get
Oh, that's cool.
rewards.
Uber for
It
hockey.
Oh,
populates a
no.
group.
Uber for pickup
I
hockey.
just gotta jump in.
Yeah.
I played pickup hockey with my wife. She's trying to score her first goal in her women's league. And I was like, just come out with the guys pickup. It's at noon. It's like really relaxed. There's this one guy that goes a little hard, but whatever, right? It's a good thing she couldn't rate him after that. She
She would have tore into him.
Oh no.
Maybe
Oh,
he
no.
needs the rating.
Maybe he needs
Hey, you're trying too hard. He's a good guy, but he's trying too hard. Yeah.
try good guy
Yeah,
tries
it's-
hard.
So with the platform, that's like one piece of it. You can like find pickup games, rate each other after.
Cool.
It populates group chats. So like I found that a lot of people are still making group chats to like get things going together.
Yeah.
The app does it for you.
Right.
After you play, you get rewards. So like Walmart, PlayStation, between $110 gift cards.
Whoa, crazy.
To Walmart, PlayStation, Lululemon, Apple, Google. We pretty much got everything. And it's just like creating that pro lifestyle for people.
Interesting.
So you play a game, you play well, you get a couple bucks. And
good.
I think that having that space where people can find activity, working out, running, skateboarding, soccer, whatever they're looking for at the touch of their phone is incredible. And then on the flip side, we talked about learning is so important.
Mm-hmm.
We also have practice. So all the same sports are offered in practice version as well. And coaches can use the platform to run their entire business through it. You get paid through it like Uber. You still have the rewards through practice. So any players who are just practicing with you, it's perfect for them because they're going anyway. So you might as well like help them out with their Fortnite skins and their video games and whatever else they want.
Right.
But I think that it's really empowering as a coach because someone like Chip who moves around and goes to all these events, I'm sure there's fans that he wants to interact with, and like he can create a pop-up charity game if he wants.
Right.
And
That's cool.
I think that with the average kid being able to find a workout for free, find soccer, basketball is so much better than him scrolling through an iPad.
Right.
And I wanted
Yes.
to create that space for them. I know not everyone is going to like jump to working out and being physically active, but what I will say is anyone who's struggling with mental health, anyone who's struggling with long-term like injury or like your back's hurting and stuff like that, I do really think you'd benefit from regular activity, whether it's on my platform or just out and about. I think that the mind needs to move.
Oh, I love
We're
that.
not dormant.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great quote.
As a society, I think we've slowed down our physicality. And that's why our minds are sped up. And you have a lot more depression.
Hmm.
You have a lot more anxiety.
It's hard to
Because
overthink
you
when
have
you're busy moving around, right?
Well, there's just those different layers of
exactly
the brain, right? And the apps are designed to just hit that very surface level where it's just like scan, where you don't really process it, right? It's just like hit me with something, nah, hit me with something else, hit me with something else. You're only
all little shots of
yeah,
dopamine.
just
Mhm.
scratching just the surface.
Dopamine overload.
You're not going past the frontal lobe, right? Like you need to go to the deeper mind.
Exactly.
We've talked a lot about that subject on this podcast, the dopamine hits from phones and stuff. It's a epidemic, right? Like it's crazy.
Our app is designed for you to be on there for a minute, join a game, and a minute after.
It's
love
a
it.
And you get
utility.
rewarded
It serves a purpose for real life.
I
like-
love that. Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
because I've lived in towns and I know there's like a soccer field here and a baseball diamond there, and I've been close to it. I'm like, is someone out there playing? You kind of look out the window. Oh, is it? What's going on out there? And you kind of want to jump in, but you don't
Yeah.
know the people, and it's like,
Exactly.
it's just hard because people are so closed into their room with all the devices and everyone. It's like your computer and your app, and people don't go outside and just like, hey, we're all going to the soccer field later.
I
You
thought
want to
that's-
like how it used to be in the
It's a way
community,
to meet
you know?
people. I think that's a big one. It's so
Yeah.
hard to
Yes,
meet people.
yes.
Everyone like you get out of school and you're like, oh, like how do I meet people other than going to a club on a
Yeah,
Friday
yeah.
and drinking? Like, what is there any other ways? So I know I've seen a lot of like running groups have been huge. That my
Right.
buddies like, oh, I've joined this running, and it's a socialization factor
Mhm.
that I think we have been missing, especially growing up with these phones. It's like you think you're connected, you're so connected but disconnected at the same time, and it makes it difficult to
Mhm.
build connections in real life because everyone, you're pulling out your phone, you got a little social anxiety, and I feel like an app like this would be super beneficial. And yeah, like meeting people who are like-minded, who like the same sports or who like, and we can all kind of go and play. Like when you go to like the local basketball at the gym, and you end up making it a regular thing because you know the people now, and now you feel comfortable around them.
90% of the people
Yeah.
I know are from sports,
Oh yeah.
mostly hockey, but
Sports are a huge way to meet people. for
yeah,
sure. like
so it's
Right.
definitely
And
beneficial. Yeah.
I think that, like Chip said, offering that space for people to meet, right? Like, I think that we all have friends who aren't physically active, but we love them.
Hmm.
And we want to keep them in our lives, but we also want to work out more.
Mm.
We also want to run more. And so being able to pop up in my phone, join a group of people like who can vibe with me like that,
Hmm.
and then go hanging out with my crew, I think it's really cool to be able to have both elements. I think that for anyone who's focused on self-improvement, this is the app for you,
I love that.
right? And
Cool.
for anyone who feels like they are in a space where they need to add to their tribe, this is perfect for you because
Right.
this is the best way for you to meet people who already have something in common. And you guys can just vibe off that.
Right.
Right? So if it's tennis, if it's golf, you guys just have chats, and maybe you start playing every week, and then 2 weeks you got a buddy.
Yeah, I love that.
100%.
It doesn't take long when you're playing sports, just chucking the football around. Or I joined Ultimate Frisbee League when I was in a new town. 'Cause I was like,
Underrated sport.
oh, I was like, I don't know
I'm
anyone.
nasty at it.
Underrated.
I'm
I-
nasty at Ultimate too. like,
Never played Ultimate Frisbee.
handler. I was a
right?
handler. I was the quarterback.
And once I learned that flick and the hammer throws,
Oh,
and I'm
buddy.
just like, this is
Yeah, we
yeah,
got.
it's
Is there an
great.
ultimate? Is there an ultimate section
It's
on
anything.
the app?
You can add anything.
Hey,
Chip, we'll toss it on there next week. But
I need it. I need it because I need some ultimate link ups.
Before we wrap up the app portion, you should say, like, is it available on the App Store, Google Play, that type of thing?
It's Pup Sports.
yeah, App Store, Google Play, just type in Pup Sports.
Love it.
The most important thing to know is that hosting, you can send direct invites to friends
Right.
if you create a game, and you guys can start getting rewards right away. There's hundreds of dollars waiting for whoever wants to claim it. All you got to do is play games.
So the app is giving out cash. How is the app? I'm a business minded person right now. You can't just be giving out cash. So the app has to be making money somehow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So where's like do we pay for the app? Are we paying monthly for it? Is there some
No, the app's free.
All right. So then where does like is it for like through
Sponsors?
is there sponsors or ads, or is it through like
Yeah,
if
so
coaches are planning things?
we have sponsors and ads,
Okay.
and also through practice, we take like a transaction
Like
fee,
payment
Right.
processing fees. Yeah.
and yeah, it's very small fee.
Yep.
The way that we set it up is for coaches to be able to add to their practices and
Right.
run full practices
I
through
think
it.
it's great.
So you can set the price at whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
We prefer the $20 range,
Mhm.
and we take very little if you have practices in that range. And then as you escalate,
Yep.
Yeah.
it changes. My thing was I made it to the NHL on $20 practices.
Right.
Nice.
So can you?
Yeah.
You do it for that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
I love it too. With inflation, you might want
And
need to
ice
pump
is
it
so
up to, like,
expensive now. Yeah.
oh, it's crazy,
Yeah,
man.
no. And I understand that there's lots of factors that go into it, but by us as a community,
Yep.
building that out and encouraging, I mean, I get the private lessons,
Oh, it's crazy, man.
but to
Yeah.
me, having 25 kids on the ice, skating hard,
Mm-hmm.
it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
could.
100%.
The thing that with the private coaching that doesn't happen is they don't share the ice, right? Because they're all trying to carve out their own area of players and try to get the parents getting their kids going with them. But with this, imagine they all pooled together and rented the ice
That's-
for private training for one section of the ice.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah,
So
like
I rented ice, and I'm offering out to other coaches. I only need one area. You can have the other area. You can have, because I want to work with like 5 or 6 kids and really specifically bring up like certain areas of their game and actually like take a knee and talk to them and have some feedback. It's hard to do with 25 kids in the ice, but I still want 25 kids out there. I just only want 5 or 6.
want to utilize the ice time.
Another coach, because it's crazy to me to drop $250 on full ice and just have 4 kids out there. I'm like, what are we doing here? It's such a waste. Like,
Yeah.
this
And
ice is getting
so
wasted.
I wanted to create a space where, like you said, you could add to that,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? You might be able to offset the cost of your price. You have your 5 kids for 3 their privates, they're covering it, and
Right.
then you invite 5 more people to play 3-on-3 in the other end,
Right.
right?
Yeah, that's
and
smart.
I think even further past that, there's over 20,000 public sporting venues across Canada and over 100,000 across North America. So like
Mhm.
minus hockey,
Yeah.
man, you shouldn't be paying for nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
I'll like soccer fields and baseball diamonds and parks. You can meet up with people and play a lot of things for free.
hmm
Exactly.
Yeah.
Running's free.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to be a running coach? You want to be
You
a
can
golf
run for
coach?
free?
Yeah.
You can run for free. I didn't know.
Yeah,
I thought you had to pay.
Yeah.
That's why I don't run. I didn't realize. No.
Well, people join running clubs and they join gyms to run on a treadmill.
Yeah,
Like,
it's true.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Was this your idea? How long did it take to conceptualize an app?
this is my idea. It was just through like life experiences. The biggest thing that happened to me is we could never find goalies.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I wish I could just put this skate out and just have 20 goalies show up.
Right.
Yeah.
We had 4
Um,
goalies show
and
up
so-
to pick up the other day. It was crazy.
Anomaly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me, that kind of like inspired this like small idea. And then when I broke my hand, I was like, okay, got to do something. Because if you stay trapped in this space for 3 months of like, am I going to play? Is my hand going to get better?
Mhm.
I'll lose my mind.
Right.
Yeah.
And so for me, I knew immediately I needed to put in my rehab schedule. And then I was usually had a block between like 1 and like 6. And then so I needed to utilize that time
Mm.
before I like started my second batch of rehab. And so for me, I didn't want to sink into video games. I didn't want to become stagnant like watching movies. And so I started thinking, how can I help people? I
Right.
feel not great right now, and I want people to feel better than this.
Love that.
And then, yeah, built it out.
That's inspirational. I love that.
Amazing, bro.
Well, what a productive use of your time. You could have spent 6 hours a day on Fortnite.
Yeah,
could have.
I
If
think
you're
that
13, I'd say that's
there's
what they want to do, but
There's
yeah,
adults.
I think
There's
that
adults spending
there's
6 hours on Fortnite.
true, yeah.
I think there's time and space for all that stuff.
Yeah.
I love a good video game session.
Yep.
But for me, I think you have to ask yourself, what is this doing for me?
Mhm.
You know, like I think a lot of kids play Fortnite like they're gonna go pro.
Yeah.
And if that's your goal, that's cool. Hang up the skates, dog.
Right. Yeah.
Or it's because they're addicted, right? Like,
Yeah.
The dopamine release. Yeah, I think it's like a creator consumer like mindset. Like if you want to be a creator, consumer, like that was a big shift for me. Like I was consumer. I was consuming everything. I was consuming these apps, TikToks, video games, weed. I was all these things I was consuming, and it was like, all right. When I found creation, it was just a shift in
Your perspective on
not
those
even
things.
perspective. It was a shift in just my quality of life. Just got better as I became more of a creator, and I was creating instead of just constantly consuming. And like that big goal of me is like I want to inspire people to create. I want people to, instead of scrolling on a TikTok, go make a video. Like that's been my goal the whole time with style and flow. Is don't think too much, flow, go create. Be free, be yourself. Like that's the whole movement of style and flow. So like that's been a big one. Is just be a creator. Like I think we're like my opinion. Like we're here to create. We're here to, we're on this earth to create things. And
love it.
and I love when people are creating and seeing, living out their idea in their mind and working on it. And like you said, not just spending 6 hours on Fortnite, but you were like, I'm gonna go create an app, and I have to go meet with business partners. I got to go find sponsors. I got to go find. And you develop all these skills as an entrepreneur that are going to allow you to build relationships in life. Your conversation skills improve. Your confidence in yourself improves. And even starting this podcast, like I've gotten more confident talking to people and with people. And I think, just it's the creation versus consumption. It's having the balance of both and not.
I can tell by talking with Josh that he is a creative type. And he's got these
100%,
ideas.
that's what I'm saying.
We've got these
Music.
ideas. We've got these ideas in our head, and it's a shame if you don't. Those ideas are little beams of light, right? It's a shame if you don't let that light out into the world. If you keep it trapped up, it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. You let that light out, share that light, and light up the world with your ideas. You never know how bright it might shine. So you got the app.
Absolutely.
And so,
I think that like what Chip said. And taking it a little bit further, you create the environment that you want to be in, right? And so, like, I think that operating out of kindness, creating things that will have a positive impact, will continue to elevate your life, the people around you, and that's why it's important to. The reason why being a creator is really cool is you're operating from how can you give versus how can you take.
Right.
And I think that that's where Chip's shift is like incredible, is that like he went from, having this consumption to like, how can I make people laugh? Like, how can I give people joy? And then he built from that, and he kept building from that. And I'm sure you guys all have similar stories. And I think that that's why it's important to inspire others, be inspired, and learn.
Right.
I think for me, creating, like I started creating videos. I wanted to help people learn how to play hockey. So it's like, how to stick in, how to shoot, how to. It's like, how can I give back? Just the basic stuff.
Exactly.
Because those videos weren't out there at the time. I was like, well, I'll go first.
Yeah.
I'll be the first
Hockey,
guy,
baby.
right?
OG goat.
And
OG goat, bro.
but like as a creator, you can also, I think, get sucked into creating, not to give but to take. It's like, how many followers can I get?
Yeah.
Right. And
it
I've
is,
never,
definitely.
luckily, never like cared about the amount. Like I don't need more followers. I'm not trying to get more followers. When you start creating for the wrong reason, then your content it goes away from your North
Soul,
Star, your compass, right? That internal compass.
Right.
And you're creating for the wrong reasons, and then you don't feel that same.
It can be difficult though with these apps designed, like these algorithms designed that way to like
make you feel worthless.
make you we've talked about this, but like you start like you're looking at the dopamine from a video. Look at all these comments people are commenting, people
People love it.
and you're like, and then your next video, you're like, oh, I gotta follow that up, and I know I've got caught in that trap a little bit this year. Is like you're like trying to create things for other people. What are other people like? What do they want to see? And then it just it affects you so negatively. It affected me so negatively, and I was like, all right, what I just got to keep creating the things I want to create and the things I find funny. And you are creating for yourself, for others. It's a crazy balance of, yeah, like
I know if I'm creating for not for myself, if I post a video and it doesn't do well, then I delete it. I'm like, I didn't really like it that much, anyways. But there's ones that I post and they don't do well, but I still love them, and the right people will find it that also like it, and I'm like, okay, I connected with like a smaller group. It doesn't have to be a mass appeal. Josh, you got the app, and you released the album to promote the app. Are we going to see more music from you? Because I think you're really onto something with those tracks. I would love to see more. And I was actually, I wanted to, like, I was really inspired by a lot of songs, but I have a 9-year-old, and I'm like, some of the language is a little I'm not really going to, for a 9-year-old.
It was very traditional for rap. That's what I learned.
Wow. So I'm like, is Josh dropping a kids album or like a hockey specific?
A radio version.
Just like the message you have are insane, and if you put those on a 1.5-hour drive to like a tournament and hype up like these 9, 10, 11-year-olds, like I think you could really create some powerful stuff that will help build character in young kids, and some of these kids need a little help on the character side. They're told they're a natural superstar. Their identity is that they're a hockey player and they're better than everyone because they play hockey and they're good at hockey, right? But what about the other sides? You know, the character development. I think music has a powerful way of touching the soul.
Yes.
Yeah. So I see potential.
I got really sick of the stuff that was being told to like our kids. Like Molly stands, leans, Ferraris, Gucci, designer. Like to me, I've seen that. I've seen people who consume that life. I've seen how it can turn you into a not so nice person.
Right.
And I think that idolizing people who live unhealthy lives is very dangerous.
it gets pushed so much
and
though
so
on the
there's
radio,
so much
on the
of it.
charts. It's so
You see like these millionaire gurus with Ferraris and girls, like that dude. I don't even know the guy's name. There's a bunch of them on Instagram, TikTok, and they have tons of followers. People worship them, right? But it's just all empty. Like it's there's no character.
I question if you have enough money to buy a Ferrari and you haven't helped lift your community.
Are you really investing in yourself and your community? Yeah.
I have a tough time with, if you have the money to buy a Ferrari, why are you buying a Ferrari?
yeah.
Why are you helping people? And to me, I get that you worked hard. You earned it. Sure. But like, to me, there's so much more good to be done.
Right.
That I think that everyone ultimately fixating on that lifestyle, right? Like, who are you going to take care of? Who are you going to help? You're chasing an empty pocket. You're just going to want more.
Yeah.
It's never going to be enough.
The Ferrari feeds
One of
the
the
ego,
craziest
right? The ego's hungry. The ego needs a
You're
Rolex.
right. The ego's hungry. And so I think that everyone deserves to be able to work for a nice house and work for a car that buzzes nicely. But like living in excess, showing that you're more than with material rather than like who you are. I think that it's just scared.
Yeah. Is that the next album then? Are you starting to write for the next?
He's brainstorming right now.
I'm just saying.
We gotta get in the studio, man.
For me, I'll definitely do a song with Chip.
There we go.
I
Get in
heard
the
some of his
studio.
stuff,
I'm living there right now.
and I think we could make some funny, happy songs just to like again, just flow.
Bro, that's it. Like that's
Um,
is that where
but
is your happy
I
place in the
think
stew?
I like the studio a lot. It's like meditating, you
Mm.
Bro,
know.
it's
You're in the
amazing.
booth and
Yeah.
like you just hearing sounds. It's like really cool. I think that with music moving forward, if I can write stuff that I believe is worth saying,
Mm,
Mm.
then I absolutely will release more music.
That's a good
I love it.
North Star
Oh
to
yeah.
follow. If it's worth saying for you, then it makes sense.
Create with purpose.
Yeah,
man.
I love that.
Yeah.
Create with purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it gives you such an insight of like I like music so much because people don't know who I am. Like people only know what I say or like right now they know about like a minute TikTok video that like this Coach Chippy character alter ego that's been created, but the music is like a window into the soul of who I actually am, and I think that's why I've had so much motivation to make music right now. Is just I guess for me it allows me to feel a little bit more understood, and when I'm making songs and people can know a little bit more about me, and then maybe it can resonate with them as well. And like going into the studio, usually my buddies will. I don't know. I'd love to hear about your creative process, but we like to just we'll have a conversation, and oftentimes the song will stem from a conversation we just had, like a deep one. We'll talk about whatever it is, highs and lows, and then that usually becomes the concept of the record. Or we'll talk about being grateful. Or the other day it was "It's All in You" was one of the inspiration. It's all in you. Um,
Hmm.
and I was wondering like how do you write your songs? Are you in the studio? Do you throw a beat on? Do you have an epiphany in the car? Or what's your creative process when you're making the music?
So it'll usually stem from like a line. I'll think of something or something will be said to me, and then it'll escalate into
Mm.
something else. I think that I allow myself to write trash.
Ah.
You have to. You
And
have to. Yeah.
yeah,
Then you sift through.
and then you sift through it. Exactly.
Right.
I think that that's one of the gifts that sports gave me
Mm.
is like I'm used to doing something and being trash at it.
Right.
And I'm used to taking 100 shots and three of them are going to hit the post, four of them are going to go over the net. Like,
Right. Not being afraid to fail.
and
It's a good
writing,
ratio. I take that
yeah.
ratio.
I take that ratio. Yeah.
So you do a lot of freestyle then? Like,
But
are you
no,
freestyle?
yeah, I freestyle a fair amount and then I'll build off that. A lot of it for me again stems from like, what am I trying to say?
Mm.
And then building from there. Um, with I'm I will say I'm fortunate. Like if I hear a beat, it's to me it's kind of like rock. Like the people who chisel stones.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like the
Blank
beat is
canvas.
like the rock,
Yeah.
and like I'm just chiseling what's already there.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right.
Like and it's just flow.
Right.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love freestyle. We got to do some freestyling together because that's like my favorite thing to do.
Absolutely, Chip. As
All
long as
day,
there's no
every
cameras.
day.
As long as there's no cameras.
Cameras, yeah, no cameras. Let's
Yeah.
go. It's just free. That's the freest moment, bro.
Dude, that would be the most like freeing moment to like just don't do it for any reason except just to do it,
Mhm.
right?
100%. So I started
Yeah.
I would freestyle all the time, and then I remember like it was 2020. I started to go live and like try to spit freestyles. Like there would be no one watching, but I was like, for me, that was like a fear of mine. Like it was like a big fear, and I was like, what if I just go on here?
Getting
and,
over the fear. Yeah.
And it was like, let me just like start freestyling. And that's how I met you. You were in
Yeah.
my TikTok live like over a year ago, and I was just freestyling. I was like, because I was so scared to do it, and I was like, well, what if I just go on here and spit off the dome, and then it's almost like the whole everything about life is a freestyle. It like once you like understand like what freestyling is, like I'm freestyling right now. I'm off the dome right now.
Hmm.
And it's like those concepts. And I found with freestyle, it's like when you know what you're trying to say to the world, like that's where like for me that's what it made like an easier. It's almost like you're talking, like you're speaking, like you're not trying to rhyme necessarily, but you're really just like talking and finding a flow. And I always thought freestyle you had to rhyme every word. But really, it's more of just being able to talk and link words together and link concepts. I love freestyling. I think it's just the most fun thing freedom. Like to me, like freestyle and
Freedom, yeah.
just straight freedom,
No
bro.
structure.
No structure. Everyone's like, you gotta write, my wife's like, you gotta write, man. I'm like, no, I don't. Let me just go. Let me just throw the headphones on and just go, bro. I'm gonna find something like. So I gotta find that mix of like writing and then freestyling, and I find because it's free, nothing can recreate a freestyled moment, like a feeling, like you're capturing a feeling, and that's why I love freestyling so much. Is because like you're just once something clicks, like you found a flow, and then going back and writing. I gotta write more. My buddies are on me. Gotta start writing more. But
Got some.
I'm still waiting for the album. Still waiting for the album.
I'm working on it, bro. It's I just started getting in like actual recording like booths like last year. Like I started actually recording, like 'cause I would just freestyle.
Yeah.
And it's a whole different environment. Like getting comfortable with the people around you, with the being in an actual booth. I was only in the actual booth for the first time last week. Like an actual booth. where you're
Congrats,
going
Chad.
back. Yeah, bro.
Wow.
I appreciate that. That was like a really cool experience. I was with Austin. I don't know if you know Austin Alexander. See any of his videos? He makes.
He does
No,
hockey
dude, I haven't
skits.
been on my phone.
He's
for a
hilarious.
Yeah,
while.
that's probably good.
He does hockey skits. Yeah, stay off the phone. Like,
Uh-huh.
We'll email it to you. How's that sound?
yeah, it was cool.
Yeah,
It was
that
definitely
works.
it was awesome just experience, and he was a big inspiration. He's really the inspiration that started why I started making the videos. So it was cool to link up with him and create something with him, and it was just a really cool creative session, and yeah, we got to get
I
in the
think that
studio
one
for
thing
sure.
you guys have all done like really well is you've created voices for people. I think that with your hockey page and like with Chip's page geared to like some of the more humorous things that occur in hockey, like you guys are pointing out some things and touching on some things that everyone feels. And so I think that the hockey community appreciates you guys so much because like you've made our game grow in ways that like I don't think that you guys have gotten credit. I think that you should not mitigate any of your accomplishments, and I really hope you guys understand that like there's young kids who are working on their toe drag release right now who are going to play in the National League all because of you, Chip.
Yes,
There's kids
100%.
right now who
I
are gonna
appreciate those
be.
words. I don't know
No,
about
dude,
that. I don't
it's
know, but
crazy.
it's I do appreciate that. Like,
Everyone's gonna shoot like Bedsy in about 7
Dude,
years.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I
Everyone.
was even working on the toe drag release.
work on it if you need
like,
some lessons. You know where he learned it. So
but it's one of those things where you guys bring light to the humor and you guys remind us why we love the game.
I love that.
And I think that it's if there's anything I would ask you guys to continue is just like just keep reminding players like why we love the game. And
That's
thank
why we
you so
started this
much for-
podcast too.
Yeah, like I really try to focus on the positive side of hockey because it was such a positive vessel for me as a kid, and it brought so much to me.
Exactly.
I saw so much like from leadership and playing on a team and coaches like helping younger players, and it really pains me to hear articles about coaches that aren't there for their team, that are basically abusing or and these sort of toxic cultures that are surrounding certain organizations. And I hate to see that because I'm like, that's not hockey, that's not what I experienced. So it's so hard to hear it and think that and I hope it's not growing. Like, I would love to make hockey a safe place where for everyone, where we're building character and helping people, and not to become pro players, just to have great experiences throughout their life, right? I don't know if
I don't play for finals. I play for fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
tell that to a
Exactly.
AAA coach though.
I know it's
Tell that to a-
right?
Yeah.
And I guess that's where a lot of the inspiration with a lot of these skits was like me taking stuff from my AAA minor hockey experience that was like I tried to make fun of it. Like that's the only thing I could really do was like my dad. Like my dad was a little bit on the crazier side. Like I love him to death, and he was only like loved me as a kid. But it's just some of the stuff is like, for me it was so ridiculous looking back now that I'm 24 and I'm not playing hockey anymore, and the 60 minutes and you're gonna miss the 2 periods of hockey because your dad didn't want to get in a car accident on the way home. It's like, are we kidding me, guys? Like, and that was kind of where, all right, like, I kind of tapped into that space in the hockey scene. It was like, like these minor hockey parent meetings when, like just like all these little
The funny,
You
the
guys-
little
quirky
moments that like
parts.
You guys are giving people voices.
yeah, it's funny, but it's not funny to the people. I didn't realize how much because I'm out of the hockey
You're
space.
triggering people now.
I didn't realize how many people were living it right now, and it was connecting and resonating with
yeah.
people right now. And I was like, to me, it's so far gone. I'm out here, trying to make music, trying to do make funny videos, but there's people literally having these minor hockey meetings, and these coaches, and they're having the parent teacher meetings with their kid who's missing school, and I was like, I forgot that people were actually experiencing
Still,
that
yeah.
still, and
And to
yeah.
different degrees that you experience it. My I guess it's not really a problem, but I try to bring that positivity, and nearly any time I share how great hockey is, there will always be a couple people saying that it's not, right? And I'm like, well, I can't say that they're wrong because they experience something different than me,
Mhm.
right? And that's it's just hard to hear. And
I think it's about recognizing and accepting that it's not going to be perfect, but
Yeah.
that everyone is striving towards everyone at least being in a safe place and having
I
fun.
think that's
you know?
what's really cool about hockey right now,
Yeah.
is that it does seem like we are headed in that direction as a unit. There's GMs I've had, who have changed. Like they're different people now. They
Yeah.
talk to the players different, and
hmm
I think just like all of us are learning, they're learning too.
Right.
I think for any of the hockey kids out there whose parents are crazy, just remember they love you,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
100%.
just remember that if you tell them the truth, it's okay. Like you can tell them that, hey, dad, like this is too much. Like
Right.
I love the game, but like and
Mhm.
you as a kid, 9, 10, like if you're feeling heat from your parents or your coaches, like address it. It doesn't mean it's gonna change,
Yeah.
but it's your job to acknowledge it and know that that's not normal.
Mm.
Right.
And you can ask for more encouragement. And if you're not getting it from the people around you, then back to our conversation earlier, try to create that community, right? And
Mhm.
that's why it's so important for players on teams to uplift each other, no matter where you're trying to go, NCAA, OHL, like
Mhm.
lift each other up through AAA, lift each other up through juniors, because at the end of the day, like not everyone's gonna make it,
Mhm.
but we can all have a great year together.
There
We
we
can
go.
all have great games together.
Right.
And I think that we don't need to take away from the joy of what hockey is.
You sound like a good coach right now. That's what.
Oh, we can all have a great year together. That should be the first thing. You have the parent coaches meeting,
Mhm.
right? The coaches up there, set everything down and end it with, not all of us are going to make it to the NHL. Maybe none of you will, but we can all have a great year together.
Mhm.
That means you're
Mhm.
focused on the team. That means
Yeah,
you're focused.
100%.
I'm focused on you guys, on us, on the players and the parents. We can have
A great year too, not just on the ice, like
yes, we can have a great year.
on
Yeah.
and off the ice. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that. Um, we're getting over an hour in time here. I want to respect your time, and we could probably talk hockey all day long. We haven't really talked too much
Yeah.
hockey.
I'll tell you what, guys, like I got I got to take a little bit of a break right now because I got another call
All right,
in probably like an hour. But if you guys want to have a follow-up talk, we can do that.
I appreciate that.
100%.
Maybe we can
Yeah.
actually
But
talk
if you guys
hockey.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Are you
sure
guys in Toronto right now?
we are
Just north.
north of Toronto. Yeah, like a really Barrie
Okay.
area. Yeah.
I'll be back home, and then we could definitely sort something out if you guys want something in person. Guys could also do a
Nice.
road trip to the
Florida
East Coast
sounds nice.
Championship.
Hey, Florida sounds nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's unreal, dude. It's unreal.
A pot on the beach. Pot on the beach.
Is
Yeah.
this live?
That sounds good to me. I do need some sunlight.
Oh, let's see if I can flip my camera.
Yeah, I'd love to see
Well,
this.
Yeah, I was thinking follow-up
This-
pod. Well, let's take a look at the beach first.
Where's the? I'll just turn my phone.
There you go.
There
There you go.
The palm
Oh,
trees.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
Son.
Yeah.
The
I'm
water's
jealous.
over there. You can't really see it. It's
You
just
don't want
on
to see
past the
outside
water.
right now here. It's
we
snowy.
got
Yeah.
snow and
Great day for hockey. Great day
Yeah.
for hockey.
Yeah.
Every day is a great day for hockey.
yeah.
Yeah, I was.
When we're out there on the beach, yeah, it looks amazing, bro. I need to get out there.
Yeah, I would love
But
to
yeah,
dive
you guys
into.
could come to a traveling pod.
Let's do it. Yeah, I would love to dive into your just like your minor hockey career and your experiences, what you might say to people that went through the same or going through the same stuff you went through. Something you might say to people you wished you said, back then, right, to a coach, and the positives and negatives, anything. Everyone is probably experiencing, whatever you experience. There's probably thousands of other people that experienced it as well or are experiencing it now, right? So I think that we could really touch on some good stuff there.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on
Yeah,
today
for
too.
sure.
It was great meeting you, and we wish you luck with your future career with music and with the
Well,
Pup Sports app.
Before we hop off,
Yeah.
just share where are you playing. What's your plans with hockey like moving forward? Let's end it there.
Oh, just flowing, man.
Just playing,
I
play
love
hockey.
that answer.
I think that for me the biggest thing, I feel like I found my joy
I love that.
and just keeping that.
Dude,
That's great.
Hey, just flow, baby. Don't think, just flow.
it's your joy, right? There's so many people looking
Yeah.
and expecting, and there's expectations and this and that. But it's like, are you happy? Because that's where you're gonna flourish, right?
Yeah, like to me, like someone would have to offer me a tasty deal to leave here right now.
Yeah. Holy, look at that view.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Exactly.
Well, we're happy for you, and we're glad that you found your joy, and we just hope you keep flowing and enjoying life, and we'll have you on the pod again soon.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
so much for
Appreciate
joining
you.
us.
Take care.
Yep,
Easy.
too. Oh, what a beauty!
Yeah,
What
that
a
was
beauty.
Oh my gosh,
That was an awesome episode. I like just those deep conversations. I'm
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
super into that. Hearing like what was in his mind behind the music, creating the app.
hmm
Very just
seems down to earth.
down to earth,
Very,
like
yeah.
self aware,
hmm
Yep.
and I was just a refreshing conversation
like-
for sure.
I don't know. You play any sport professionally. There's so much pressure.
hmm
It's
Oh,
hard
I
to
couldn't
navigate.
Even imagine the
At-
stuff that he faced, like as like an 18-year-old.
Yeah,
Just in like the power dynamics of a professional team and
you're like
how you're
15 years
treated,
old,
you're-
right?
These are all things we'll have to ask him next time he comes
Well,
on.
that's
yeah.
the thing. It's like
There's so much you can talk
so
about.
much to talk about.
Now
right?
we set the foundation
Yep.
with all the mental health and his creative side that he's exploring now and finding his joy.
follow-up
then
questions.
Then we can ask him the follow up with
We can
the
ha-
journey that it took him to get there.
we can have our audience leave questions. What do you want to know more about?
Yeah.
Josh, right? Like,
hmm
yeah, because we didn't really touch too much on his hockey path, right? Like he started up to the NHL, and then now he's playing in the ECHL.
like huge expectations on him as
Oh,
a
it's
first
a
round pick. Like it
wild pressure,
yeah.
especially if you're in Ontario in the GTHL,
hmm
and at 15 they're calling you the next one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you put up
Don
big
Cherry's
points,
saying he's more talented than McDavid.
that's what
at
I'm
the
saying,
time,
right?
you
And
know,
then
like-
you hear those
Yeah.
things, and people say those things. It's a lot to process,
Mhm.
right?
it was
And
it was interesting talking about the ego and
Yeah, that was
developing ego at like
interesting.
15, like to
Yeah.
protect yourself and defend yourself because there are. I couldn't even imagine what these coaches are telling you, or like
Well, it's like you said in a different episode. Like all darkness, there's lightness too, right? So your ego is your way of trying to combat the darkness that you are
Well,
sensing from others. Like
here's the thing: is
Yeah.
when you're kind of like labeled as the next star, there's
mhm.
a lot of coaches that want to hook their
ship,
horse.
ship you down.
They want to they want to hook their wagon onto your horse. They
Mm,
want to be the guy that took you there, type of thing, right?
right.
So either they're not that, they're just trying
or
to.
they want to test you, or they want to like, oh, you're the big shot, eh?
There's different.
We'll see about that.
Yeah, there
Go
can
for
be
it.
that as well.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
go do some suicides. Go do some. You know, there's people out there that are
They don't
jealousy,
wanna
they're
see-
jealous. That
yeah.
So what happens is you meet so many people, and they're all presenting themselves as they're trying to help you,
Mhm.
and you don't know who's actually trying to help you or who's just trying to use you.
Mm,
And when you're young, those are hard situations to be in. Your parents are obviously there to help you out, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, it's not easy, and the fact that he ended the podcast with that he's happy.
Yeah, he's found his
got-
joy.
Found his
Amazingly-
joy,
Yeah.
And that is like, isn't that what I would wish on anyone in the world?
Yeah.
100%.
If everyone has their joy, great world to live in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
fair.
Where
There's so many people struggling to find their joy.
where you're not
in life.
broken,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
Because like you go through trying to make it and play pro hockey. There's probably players that are in the NHL right now that are a little bit broken.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you
Right,
like you hear it in
yeah.
his album. Like I was listening just the songs, how deep they were, and how he does talk about the dark
Yep.
and the ups and downs. But
A lot of those songs aren't
Learning-
explicit too. Like
There's
so there's some that like go deep dive. Like the kids can listen to them
yeah,
too.
there's
like,
some that are, there's some that
for
aren't.
the parents out there.
oh yeah, like I would recommend a lot of anyone go listen to the words he's saying and how vulnerable he is on that album.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, it was just amazing to hear. It was amazing to see like a hockey player.
Yeah.
It's just a lot similar to like.
It's
me,
easy to
it
put
was so
yourself in the
similar to like
shoes,
the
yeah.
stuff, the music I want to come out with, and
That's I sent it to you. I was like, yo,
Yeah.
Josh Hosang
Yeah,
dropped an
it's
album.
just
I
crazy.
listened to it and I'm like, oh yeah, Chippy has to listen to every single one of these songs.
yeah,
Like, you
dude, I
gotta
was
go through
listening
the
to it
album. Yeah.
when he dropped it last night on the way here in the car too. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
just an amazing human being that he's developed like into, and
Yeah.
how
it was
just
great
even,
to
just like
meet him.
the way his energy was so dope, bro. Like
Oh,
he
yeah.
was just
He was a great listener too.
great listener.
He
Oh.
he
would
was
build on topics the way like
very present.
Yeah.
Very
present.
present.
Yes, listening to all
Yeah.
the words and
Yeah, you can tell a lot by someone on how good at listening they are.
100%.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah.
Something
right?
I'm trying to work on too. Like
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's hard because in a podcast, I'm trying to think of the next good question to ask.
yes,
We're
then
doing
he's-
multiple things in
and-
our head.
and
yeah.
he's
it's like
talking,
is
I was
Hayden
like-
gonna talk? I'm like, we're still learning too how to interview someone with 3 people. It's not.
Well, it's one of those
easy.
things because like I have so many questions that I want to ask, and I want to make sure I present it and I don't ramble for
I ramble.
ah.
I start rambling. I'm like, oh, and then
That's all
here's the
good.
question.
Yeah. You talk like for like a minute, and then you were like, so yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, well,
but
I-
it's great.
I've done that
Yeah.
before as well, where
Yeah.
it's
I
like
don't know how
I'm
else
just
to do it.
talking around the question. I keep circling the question.
Mhm.
So I'm like, how can I just like quickly deliver the question? But I also want to listen to.
I'm not an interviewer. Like
Yeah.
I just like having conversations. I don't
Exactly.
know
Yeah,
how to interview someone. Like
Mhm.
Well, so
you need to share. It can't just be a one-sided us just asking questions. Like you got to share stuff about yourself too
Yeah,
to make the
yeah,
other like
yeah.
it's it's conversation
give and take,
skills
yeah.
or-
and that's one of the things where there's been times I was like thinking of the next question. I was like, I'm just
and he's on a TV. He's not even in the room with us.
Yeah,
so it's
fair,
like we're
yeah.
trying to like we need to be talking to each other in the room too.
yeah.
Mhm.
So it's definitely a different dynamic.
I would just like forget about the question. I'm just listening. Like because he's sharing really good information.
I had about 6 things that I could have asked.
Yeah.
But I didn't care. I just wanted to learn more about like his
Exactly.
journey and what inspired him.
Yep.
What inspires him. Basically, like that's if you're talking to someone and you want people to like actually share their true self, you have to talk about the things that you can sense they want to talk about.
What do they love? Yep.
Yeah.
And and that's where a good podcast. I guess you can just follow like a good like talks about something and then ask a follow up question,
Mhm.
and then you have like a few written down that you want to
Yeah.
ask.
I think
if-
it's also trying to build on stuff like he would say, oh, building on what Chippy said.
Mhm.
Noted that because I like that because I mean it's always like he's building on you. He listened to me.
Yeah.
He listened. Woo! Someone's listening to me.
Yeah.
That's actually a very cool conversation.
Mhm. Yeah, that was great. We'll have to have him on again.
Building on that, building on what Hayden said, like we gotta have him on again.
Yeah. And
Building on what Chippy said, we gotta have him on again. So
Yeah, and just adding to what you two were just talking about, I definitely think that we could have
Building on what Hayden said, he had 6 questions that he could have asked that he didn't. I did as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
We'll be having a lot more guests on this year too.
We're
so
gonna be
stay
building
tuned
a
for
lot
that.
of conversation topics.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be using that a lot.
Great pod. All
Thanks
right,
for tuning in, everyone.
wrap it up.
Let us know what you want to ask Josh next time he comes on.
Yep.
And who should we have on the pod next?
Oh yeah, guest ideas.
Yeah.
because
We got a lot of pull.
Chippy and I, we got the blue check marks there. We
Yeah.
can just,
I
you know,
don't have a check mark.
Oh, you don't have a check.
I don't have a
He
check
doesn't
mark. I'm not
need
paying
one.
for a check mark.
All right,
No,
that's gonna
never
do it
that.
for this
They
episode.
don't just
boys.
give. They don't just give them out anymore.
See ya.
Gonna
You gotta pay
change
for
the
him now.
world
You gotta sign in with your
with my hockey
passport.
stick.
They just
all
know
your
your
Gonna
numbers.
personal
make a
information.
real difference.
That's your check mark.
Thanks.
Feed
right?
the poor and heal.